Before we get into the lesson, try this warm-up. Write an expression for each of the following. 4 more than triple the cost. Also, in a game, you earn 10 points for each correct answer and lose 5 points for each wrong answer. So for each description, write an expression using what we learned in the previous lesson about expressions and polynomials, using variables and coefficients. See how you do. And don't forget to define your variables. If you had some trouble getting started, maybe defining the variables for you will help you get started. In the first example, 4 more than triple the cost. Well, my variable is the cost. So I said, let C represent the cost in dollars. Now this is a different notation than I used in the previous lesson. Instead of writing out, let C represent cost, I just used this symbol. And that's a shorthand. I will accept that. So you don't have to write out let C represent every time. It's a big word to write out. Anyway, so in the first one, the variable is the cost. In the second one, we're talking about the number of correct answers and the number of wrong answers. So I have a variable to represent each of those. So if this helps you get started, maybe pause the video again and see if you can come up with the expression. Hopefully you could come up with these. 4 more than, so we're adding 4 to what? Triple the cost, 3 times the cost. So here's 3 times the cost and we're adding 4. 4 more than triple the cost. Okay, next one, earn 10 points, so we're increasing by 10 points for each correct answer. So your points go up by 10 for each correct answer. That's up 10C. And you lose 5 points for each wrong answer, so you go down 5 for every wrong answer. So 10 times the number of correct answers minus 5 times the number of wrong answers. That's just to summarize the ideas about writing expressions that we covered in the last lesson. But let's look at this lesson. This lesson is called Collecting Like Terms. We talked about what like terms are in the previous lesson. Now we're going to collect them. So I'll tell you what that means and why we're doing it. This is all for the purposes of solving algebraic problems down the road. So first off, I want you to remember something from last lesson. Like terms, which is what we're going to deal with today, like terms have the same variable and the same exponent on the variable. So in the last lesson, you identified what were like terms and what were not like terms. So that's going to come in handy in this lesson. To simplify an expression, we can add or subtract like terms. So simplify just means reduce the number of terms. So when you have an expression like this that has 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can simplify this expression so that it doesn't have as many terms, only if we have like terms. So anytime you're asked to simplify an expression, you want to identify the like terms and then collect them. And with like terms, you can add or subtract them from each other. So in the first example, 6a plus 2b minus 3a plus 7b. What are the like terms? Well, 6a and minus 3a are like terms because they have the same variable and the same exponent on the variable. Now don't forget, the sign in front of the term is the sign of the term. So this is minus 3a, negative 3a, same thing. Are there any other like terms? Well, we have plus 2b, plus 7b. They both have a b. There's the same exponent on the b. Those are also like terms. So we have 2 sets of like terms. I've highlighted the first set in red and the second set in blue. Now that I've identified my like terms, I can add them together. 6a minus 3a, well, you can think of it something like I have 6 apples minus 3 apples. How many apples do I have? I have 3 apples now. It's the same idea. Also here, I have 2 baseballs plus 7 baseballs. How many baseballs do I have? 9. So this 4-term expression simplifies down to a 2-term expression, 3a plus 9b. Those are not like terms because they don't have the same variable. So I can't simplify any further. This is how I know that I'm done. A lot of students in the past have tried to add these together and they end up with something like 12ab as their answer, or they just write it's 12. Well, remember, this is simplify. It's not saying evaluate. There's a difference. Evaluate means get the answer, find the value. Simplify just means add like terms together as much as you can. And that's what we've done here. Try the next one on your own to see what you can come up with. First, you want to identify your like terms. So 7m has a like term. Not here, not here, not here. This one, they both have m. Those are like terms. Plus 2 and plus 5 are like terms because they're both constants. Negative 6n is a term all by itself. There is no other like term with that. So it just stays all alone. So 7m minus 2m is 5m. Minus 6n cannot be simplified because there's no like terms, so it just stays the same. Plus 2 plus 5 becomes plus 7. So this 3-term expression is the simplified form of this original expression. Now, just like you can add individual terms together if they're like terms, you can add expressions together. So that's what I'm doing here. I have 3h plus 5 is an expression, and I'm going to add negative h plus 7. Those are 2 different expressions that I'm adding together. But the principle is really the same. I'm going to just talk this out. I have 3h plus 5. And then I'm going to add negative h. I'm also going to add positive 7. So I can rewrite it like this, and then use my rules of double signs. So if I'm adding a negative, that's just minus. If I'm adding a positive, that's just plus. So now I have 3h plus 5 minus h plus 7. Now I can just do what I did before, identify my like terms, and then add the like terms together to simplify. So in this case, my simplified expression is 2h plus 12. You can do the same thing with this expression. Try it on your own, pause the video, and check back in to see how you do. So we're adding 3x squared, we're adding negative x, and we're adding negative 2. The double signs simplify, so if we're adding a negative, that's just minus. Now I'll find my like terms, negative 3x squared plus 3x squared. Same variable, same exponent on the variable. Plus 8x minus x are like terms. They have the same variable, x, with the same exponent on the variable. A lot of people will try to say that these are like terms, but they're not because the variables have different exponents. Minus 5 is a constant, minus 2 is a constant, so those are like terms with each other. Now here, don't forget your signs. Minus 3x squared plus 3x squared. Well, if you have negative 3 plus 3, that's 0. So if you wrote 0x squared, technically that's correct, but it just means nothing. You have 0x squared. That just means you don't have any. So you don't even have to write anything. 8x minus x, you're left with 7x. Negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7. So hopefully you were able to come to this as your simplified expression. If not, try to find where your error was in my solution. And if you have trouble, let me know. These last examples are very similar to what we just did, except this time, instead of adding expressions together, we're subtracting expressions. So you just have to remember, okay, I start with this expression, but then I'm subtracting negative 2x squared. I'm subtracting positive 3x, and I'm subtracting minus 7. So pause the video and try this on your own. Just remember you're going to have some double negatives and different signs back to back. What do you do with that? And then remember, collect your like terms and add those together. Here's my solution. Got minus negative 2x squared, that's just plus 2x squared, minus positive 3x, that's just minus 3x, minus negative 7 is just plus 7. Find my like terms and add them together. So negative 3x squared plus 2x squared is negative 1x squared. Now you can write negative 1x squared, but you don't have to write the 1. It's implied by saying that there's an x squared there. You're saying that there's 1. So you don't have to write the 1, but if you write the 1, it's fine. Positive 6x minus 3x is plus 3x. Minus 9 plus 7 is minus 2. So the simplified expression is negative x squared plus 3x minus 2. See if you can simplify this expression. Pause the video and try it. Once you simplify the negative, double negative here, just find your like terms. 3x cubed doesn't have any like terms, but the x squareds are like terms with each other. The x terms are like terms, and the constants are like terms. So 3x cubed stays the same, negative 4x squared minus x squared. Some people forget there's a 1 there, so it's minus 4 minus 1. That's minus 5x squared. We have plus 2x plus 3x, that's 5x, minus 8 minus 2 is minus 10. So our simplified expression is 3x cubed minus 5x squared plus 5x minus 10. So to summarize, when you are asked to simplify an expression, you need to identify your like terms, and then you can only add or subtract your like terms with each other. You cannot add or subtract terms that are not like terms. Once you have come to a point where you have no more like terms, that's simplified. That's as far as you can go and you're done. So if you have any questions about any of these examples that we've worked through, please let me know. Otherwise, you can move on to the practice questions.